Logicoma.
We are a collective conscious seeping directly through your brainwaves. Your AI, your own intelligence studying the way you behave. From your sleep patterns to your every single morning routine. From the way you move and the things you choose to go practice your hygiene. The clock is ticking, arm is ringing, passing through your cerebrum. Just sit back and relax and let the AI in your kingdom, where your darkest fears and excess worries can't bother you anymore. Caution, after this procedure, you might start to feel a little sore. Your human corporeal forms determine what we seek. You'll start to feel fluids leaking everywhere to your legs onto your cheek. Just know that this is normal. We try to proceed with elegance. This might just serve to be pros and cons with artificial intelligence.
Evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
There comes a time everyone reawakens from their slumber. And if it's not at the right time, oh well, don't be a bummer. There comes a time when everybody meets the same fate. And that's the problem when you have so many closed gates. Locked away and sealed away with some crystal boulders. The only weight I carry is my guilt weighing on my shoulders. They say once in a blue moon leads you nowhere. I can feel the tension rising within the air.
So let me start from the beginning, because that's usually where we start. I never ever thought we had ourselves a little heart to heart, but one day I was lying on the couch, like you. Always went through the kitchen cabinets and always loved to think and choose when I want to eat the next kind of clothes I want to wear. Always had to be considerate who wanted their fair share. But anyway, another day, simply 20 years of age. Another Monday day to write across my life stories page. Another note, another task, takes a while to begin. Until I heard his tiny noise outside, no idea what happened. It was crazy. I saw a guy wrapped in cloth with a pot in his hand, simply sipping on broth. Surprisingly, that's not the weirdest thing at all. A whole flock of birds arrived the moment he gave them his call. There were several lambs and birds and animals meant for the zoo. I remember staring at him and shouting, "Hey you!" I noticed him talking to me. I wondering what he had to say. He was simply asking for directions, asking me which way is the nearest exit from the town over to the next. Such a simple question of potency, I was more than perplexed. So I pointed to the next town where all good things go to live. He laughed and said he needs to visit his relatives down in Bethlehem's where his siblings lived. He said he was rather desperate, begging to be forgiven on the ones he simply calls the Father. And they went to his life story about his wife, mother, and daughter. He babbled on, and I wished him a good day, sighing all confused as we both parted ways. And so the lamb and the lion to the other creatures went. Perhaps he was just simply a loony guy looking to repent. I went inside my house, eating breakfast as always. I shut my eyes for a second at something strange. I rushed to my window to look out to see what it was. A thunderstorm at this time? You gotta be crazy, cuz. I thought to myself, my mom's bringing my cell. I picked up and she told me to stay inside and protect myself until the storm passes. I lightly sigh and then nod. Hear a bang and a thud. It must have been a lightning rod. I heard a knock at the door. It was unusually hard. Curious, I looked at the window and what I saw was something large. They were all red and black, the big horns extending to my eyes. Scared and nervous, I was wondering if this was the day of my demise. I heard a voice through the door asking me to come outside. They asked if I saw a guy with cloth and blue eyes. Told them no. They ignored me and asked the question again. I said the same thing as in my days. I've seen a lot of men with blue eyes or contacts. He wasn't very specific. They punched a hole through the door and showed me they're not ones to mess with. They said they would appreciate my kind. They asked me a question again. I felt myself was conscious. I felt this was my end. All of a sudden I wake up and back in my house. I saw my house all trashed and what's all ruckus about. I saw mom asking if I was okay. I told her I was fine. I must have been asleep all day. I told her what I saw. She laughed and considered me ludicrous. I looked at her. I thought, can't get any more rude than this. I ponder and ponder, wondering what this means. Was it symbolic or something embedded deep in my genes? I shrug it off and sigh as I went to lay on the couch. Now son, tell me, what do you think the story was about?
I clean the life with my bare hands as I'm slipping off the edge, mentally pushed off like a ledge as I approach my very end. Didn't know I'd hold on this long. I hope it wasn't out of hesitation. I reach out to the sky just one more time. It means I'm desperate. I clean the life with my bare hands as I'm slipping off the edge, mentally pushed off like a ledge as I approach my very end. Didn't know I'd hold on this long. I hope it wasn't out of hesitation. I reach out to the sky just one more time. It means I'm desperate.
Enter the esoteric mindset of an individual, nothing to lose. So I choose to live in isolation, surrounded by all these clues. Who knew something so primitive could lead to something so valuable? It'll take more than a simple wall breaker to step foot in this castle where my demons live. It will not forgive any form of insubordinance. I'm sure you struck a chord with something more than a bliss. I've led myself to my demise within my mind's own creations as I step foot on this pillar, clinging the life out of desperation.
I clean the life with my bare hands as I'm slipping off the edge, mentally pushed off like a ledge as I approach my very end. Didn't know I'd hold on this long. I hope it wasn't out of hesitation. I reach out to the sky just one more time. It means I'm desperate. I clean the life with my bare hands as I'm slipping off the edge, mentally pushed off like a ledge as I approach my very end. Didn't know I'd hold on this long. I hope it wasn't out of hesitation. I reach out to the sky just one more time. It means of desperation.
Simple people, simple place, out of state and out of mind. Any states, any continents, any lines, give me a sign. We intertwine with our beliefs in which conceal our own hypocrisy. Then we entrust our lives to idiots and proceed to call it democracy. Our judgment's like a cloud, foggy till it subsides. Though we hide and decide before we call out our next crime. We like to play the blame game and start pointing our fingers. And when the peace attempt is made, someone arrives and pulls the trigger. Can't be war without peace and war without love. Lands without trees and heaven with no above. Eternal voids with no darkness and sin with no plea. Evil people with motives and hearts so full of greed. Strive for perfection but then end up with so little, till it eats up your determination and you start to waver and fickle. Fear is a choice. If for some reason we all choose fear, I cannot tell if I have clouded judgment. Regardless, I am sincere. We strive for perfection but then end up with so little, till it eats up your determination and you start to waver and fickle. Rage is a choice. If for some reason we all choose rage, I cannot tell if I've clouded judgment. Regardless, we're all in the same simple people, simple place, out of state and out of mind. Any states, any continents, any lines, give me a sign. We intertwine with our beliefs in which conceal our own hypocrisy. Then we entrust our lives to idiots and proceed to call it democracy. Our judgment's like the cloud, foggy till it subsides. Though we hide and decide before we call out our next crime. We like to play the blame game and start pointing our fingers. And when the peace attempt is made, someone arrives and pulls the trigger. Can't be war without peace and war without love. Lands without trees and heaven with no above. Eternal voids with no darkness and sin with no plea. Evil people with motives and hearts so full of greed. You strive for perfection but then end up with so little, till it eats up your determination and you start to waver and fickle. Fear is a choice. If for some reason we all choose fear, I cannot tell if I have clouded judgment. Regardless, I am sincere. We strive for perfection but then end up with so little, till it eats up your determination and you start to waver and fickle. Rage is a choice. If for some reason we all choose rage, I cannot tell if I have clouded judgment. Regardless, we're all on the same page.
Imagine you can have a world where everything exists, with a fiction, addictions to legends and myths. Soon everything the fantasy will come true. We can be artificial, a whole world brand new. Imagine you can have a world where everything exists, with a fiction, addictions to legends and myths. Soon everything the fantasy will come true. We can be artificial, a whole world brand new. There comes a time when everybody's in the same place. I wonder why I always encounter the same face. I didn't know such tech could exist in this millennium. While I'll cuddle with my electronic kingdom, there comes a time where everybody's in the same place. I wonder why I always encounter the same face. I didn't know such tech could exist in this millennium. I'll just cuddle with my electronic kingdom. Imagine you can have a world where everything exists, with a fiction, addictions to legends and myths. Soon everything the fantasy will come true. We can be artificial, a whole world brand new.
I'm glad I'm moving on. a place ever so distant. I do possess good memories, but they only exist in fragments. I know I cannot stay, therefore there's not much to say. All I know is I'm somewhere better, someplace far away. I'm glad I'm moving on, a place ever so distant. I do possess good memories, but they only exist in fragments. I know I cannot stay, therefore there's not much to say. All I know is I'm somewhere better, someplace far away. Ruptured in a world without coexisting peace. My inner desires and demons begging to be released. They prey upon your innocence, stripping you until you're bare. Then their expectations overwhelm with just a stare. An unsettling breeze forms throughout a cacophony of nothingness. What lies dormant therefore are such feelings as joy and bliss. You miss the gentle mother's kiss, longing to be held. What once was considered home now just feels more like a cell. A containment chamber wrapped with all your thoughts, feelings and desires. You must be perfect, clean boy as not scratch up their empire. Maintaining a self-image to them means more than love. Maybe you might find some place far away, somewhere up high above. I'm glad I'm moving on, a place ever so distant. I do possess good memories, but they only exist in fragments. I know I cannot stay, therefore there's not much to say. All I know is I'm somewhere better, someplace far away. I'm glad I'm moving on, a place ever so distant. I do possess good memories, but they only exist in fragments. I know I cannot stay, therefore there's not much to say. All I know is I'm somewhere better, someplace far away.
Enter a whole new world with no everlasting crisis. But deep into this whole new world, there's some trouble in paradise. Enter a whole new world with no everlasting crisis. But deep into this whole new world, there's some trouble in paradise. Conflict reigns supreme in a world where it's common regime. Yet sometimes I can almost hear them breathe and see. Locked in a vacuum, calm with tranquility, lost within an eternal gaze of doom. Last spark calls, one with disruption. This might just serve to lead to its own self-destruction. One place falls, another one calls. This paradise of mine is stalled.
One place falls, another one calls. This paradise of mine is tall. Conflict reigns supreme in a world where it's common regime. Yet sometimes I can almost hear them breathe and see. Locked in a vacuum, calm with tranquility, lost within an eternal gaze of doom. Last spark calls, one with disruption. This might just serve to lead to its own self-destruction. One place falls, another one calls. This paradise of mine is tall. One place falls, another one calls. This paradise of mine is tall. Enter a whole new world with no everlasting crisis. But deep into this whole new world, there's some trouble in paradise. Enter a whole new world with no everlasting crisis. But deep into this whole new world, there's some trouble in paradise.
You see, I rocked until approximately 7:06. I saw them playing with the devils, I thought that's just how they get their kicks. Had to take their boards away, their mind was blank, all left astray. As I looked, there were ethereal beings lived in my apartment, here to stay. You know the rules is how this goes, and really here it shows. Dude stepping in this crypt, chilling, freezing like an ice cone. I confirmed he had no ice, though had no clean with Lysol. For some reason, all the lights off simply left me up. All electric bill sent me straight to chills. I was confused at first, but mama never raised no fool. I was simply like this at birth. Maybe the beings and I are linked. I mean, if you truly think about the consequences if I don't play along as they're black. Maybe ethereal, you can walk on their plane. This might just be a path exclusive to the deranged. Until you know, don't show your face whenever you're in my range. Or perhaps I'm selfish, maybe I'm just insane. This may be ethereal, you can walk on their plane. This might just be a path exclusive to the deranged. Until you know, don't show your face whenever you're in my range. Or perhaps I'm selfish, maybe I'm just insane. This may be ethereal, you can walk on their plane. This might just be a path exclusive to the deranged. Until you know, don't show your face whenever you're in my range. Or perhaps I'm selfish, maybe I'm just insane.
I wake up in a distant land far away from home, a desolate landscape abandoned and all alone. I try to search for clues, investigate where this may be. I knew in these fields no one was going to try and save me. I walk along rubble, plants, dirt, and trees. Soon I reach a lake, water touching up my knees. I reach out to the sky, hoping this is all just fiction. Suddenly I hear a scream and stop the moment to listen. It sounded rather vague, shrouded in all this mystery. I stumbled upon some ancient relics lost throughout such history. What this tale entailed, I was bound to find the meaning through all the fog, green skies. Now I really thought I was dreaming. Nothing out here was what it seemed. I thought the vision was so obscene. I never once thought I'd interpret a positive light from the color green. But entranced me, warmed me with all the lightness and ideals. I saw a tiki with the mask on, with a heart for a seal. Leniency is but a trance, both a blessing and a curse. Felt my body slowly dissipate, time's beating all in reverse. I wake up amongst the shoreline, same place I woke up in. The whispered screaming became echoes, that's when the madness begins. See, I woke up in one direction, after another. I swear to you the volume lifts so loud I thought it was screaming bloody murder. I try to escape the screams, producing but an echo to the ears. Then I reset to the same place, exactly what I had feared. I walked and walked, experimented for a bit. Then I encountered some familiar sights, seeming rather reminiscent. Soon then I was the poor sap who fell for every trick to being the gate and swamp with such sense that made me sick. I bordered lines of both worlds, crossing within and out. Some lakes were rather empty, with only a sole trout, but I gazed upon another sight, the screams echoing louder. I wake up back again with the screams echoing for hours. I feel myself slipping, losing my grasp on reality. From the annoying distant screams came from me as sort of normality. Then suddenly I woke up like it was all just a bad dream. Now only in the night would I hear those whispered screams. All just a dream inside a fantasy, living off artificial beauty. What if we're all just stranded up in a car with all the others just cruising? I've accomplished my life and I have my own house, at least that's what it seems. I was able to pay taxes and counting my racks and it was just a dream. See, I have my life and I have my strife, I'm just a machine. But the question if this is reality to me seems just obscene. Locked in a room with a pile of shoes simply scattered about. All these complex emotions, whether it be anger or pout. To convince me that these aren't real is simply an act of lunacy. I want you to answer me if you really think that, and you must answer truthfully. Because if it is, then why do we live? Why do we blame? Why do we forgive? Why do we spend our time with an act of charity when we should just cease and desist? Why are we surrounded by such beauty, disguised under all that pain? Why should we care about preserving our lives and keeping ourselves sane? A world devoid of all spirit, devoid of the will to live. A world where you're no longer allowed to rock your baby in its crib. You think it's meaningless all that time you spent with other people. You let a silly little inconvenience make you think that everyone is evil. Because of a few bad experiences don't make up the whole world. And it isn't fair to self-deprecate in front of every boy and every girl. A world where you do not exist. Should not everyone then perish? Including those you hold valuable to you and which you cherish. It's so obscene that your dream to not exist is reassured. But the negativity inside your brain which most consider to be cursed. Meanwhile, we help others save lives, we do this shit religiously. But no, all that is meaningless to you. It was all just a fantasy. All just a fantasy. Just a fantasy. All just a fantasy. All just a fantasy.
In a place or world in this bewildered state, you eclipse your doom, then seal your fate. That's how the rotation in which your life takes toll, and they get paid. Within this masquerade, I serenade the thought of you succeeding. I'm begging and pleading, I'm down on my knees and praying to relinquish these thoughts of leading. What bewilders me is how we think and have the same brain, same images, same blood cells, same mind thinking in the same lane. Similar thoughts, similar perspectives, and yet for some reason we bicker and argue over stupid crap and sentence each other to treason. Oh, I'm bewildered at the thought of us having different opinions. How dare you disagree with me? I thought you were someone I could be friends with. If you're gonna pull that with me, you might as well not even follow my page, because quite frankly, I have no time for your adolescent rage. Bicker, bicker, whine, cry, contemplate, then wonder why I'm bewildered by this process as well as this state of mind. Bicker, bicker, I sigh at these pathetic whines. I wonder why I'm bewildered or even slightly surprised. I sought so in my dreams, I thought of myself a machine. But can these meadows really quell my thirst for everlasting calm green? I know this concept is so obscene, in fact they're rather obsolete. In fact I'm so bewildered how this started off a blank sheet. A chapter with no rules, a kingdom with no gods, a circus with no fools, a test that's rather hard. I'm bewildered by the thought that you can surpass what isn't true. However, fools with rather bleak convictions are nothing that is new. Bicker, whine, cry, contemplate, then wonder why I'm bewildered by this process as well as this state of mind. Bicker, bicker, I sigh at these pathetic whines. I wonder why I'm bewildered or even slightly surprised. Bicker, bicker, whine, cry, contemplate, then wonder why I'm bewildered by this process as well as this state of mind. Bicker, bicker, I sigh at these pathetic whines. I wonder why I'm bewildered or even slightly surprised.
Circles, 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 a rotation of monotony. At this rate I would have much more fun replicating a lobotomy. A world spinning in circles, such is the way of the brain. Becoming one with the circle is only for those who reign. A wave is in motion, best not to break the balance, as much as the cycle bends to the wicked with malice. I personally prefer to interpret these words in which I'm spitting. Some familiar tainted faces so hard to keep on acquitting. The chapters which we end on are all but rather solemn. For once the circle earth rotates, you'll be left at the bottom. Drown in the cycle of your own self-appointed misery. For once the cycle finishes rotating, all of this will be history.
Hey, circle, 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 circles, life's like a rehearsal. The same things happen every day, it is all eternal. People getting teased and mocked based on their decisions, no matter their race, their sex, or if they follow a religion. Bullies abusing victims, shoving them right into lockers, pushing them and kicking them around like they're playing soccer. Kids like me constantly get all the abusive. I'm gonna die like this, what's the point? What's the use, dog? All the workers going crazy, they're all getting laid off. All the slackers getting lazy, their hard work really paid off. Hard workers get hated, and slackers get all the respect apparently. Every day is the same thing, just living in reverse psychology.
Circles, 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 a rotation of monotony. At this rate I would have much more fun replicating lobotomy. A world spinning in circles, such is the way of the brain. Becoming one with the circle is only for those who reign. A wave is in motion, best not to break the balance. As much as the cycle bends to the wicked with malice, I personally prefer to interpret these words in which I'm spitting. Some familiar tainted faces so hard to keep on acquitting. The chapters which we end on are all but rather solemn. For once the circle earth rotates, you'll be left at the bottom, drown in the cycle of your own self-appointed misery. For once the cycle finishes rotating, all of this will be history.
There once was a maiden who left the shrine temple. I must have forgotten her name, everyone thought she was special. She had the power to cure disease, filth, as well as dead plants. Her serene yet gentle touch was enough to win the heart of every man. Yet within a single pulse she was able to drag you in. Who knew such beauty on the outside could hold so much sin? Ropes of fate can be so cruel once put in the wrong place. Who knew such distant traces of beauty could then be lost from their face? For most of the people, deception was out of the question. I would say you didn't deserve it, but that's just natural selection. The next day I walked over to the temple, which I haven't for so long, to see the maiden shrouded in mystery, but next thing I knew she was gone.
And the Oasis, time's wrapped to reach in every pore. I prefer thought-provoking questions that shake me to my core. But if you ask a wordsmith how to sculpture his magnum opus, he'd take about 30 or so minutes just to take his time to refocus. There's a reason every one of us is feeling so insecure. Just wannabe posses looking up to us to feel assured. A sign of comfort blanketed with each and every disguise. But if you ask them what they're looking for, they'd simply roll their eyes, giving a long-winded explanation for what could come next. Present them with the problem, one in which leaves them perplexed. But if you dare challenge the status quo, prepare to be crucified. Just a prime example of why and how your friends metaphorically died. You ask like 50 questions, but then receive no answers. mankind should be left on the sidelines. The words of asking wordsmiths is courtesy of no one. It's like a bird without wings trying to rise to the sun, eclipsing in the sunset, rising like the phoenix, only to crash and burn like a veiled surface. They call it Xenix. Laying awake within your nightmares, lost within your thoughts, one directional, dimensional plane up straight across. The arbiter of the same bowl, nothing in life is fair. In the end, we're all together in our oasis of despair.
You are currently listening to a Luigi Dagger beat.
JoeSal!
Take a look around, we see our future. Here's your chance, your joy, enjoy it while you can. Only fresh flowers roam in this land. There's no fear, no doubts, only a singular smile. I bloom, you'll see yourself quite soon. We breathe the air that they can't see. Rest now, no worries, I'll sing you a calming tune. Our memories will carry on higher than the moon. I see your faces, all so different and distinct. I thought your compassion would wither, fall extinct. Here we lay across, spread on the field. Distinct heroes facing evil weapons. We'll protect the lost, no matter the cost. On the statue's legs, covered in moss, it reads, legends will come and go. One seed will prosper and serve to grow. Hold on, don't worry, the journey isn't over yet. My child, you will learn life's joys and its biggest regrets. Don't cry, it's all fine, spiritually divine. Our memories are sealed within interior designs. Within a room of memories, most of them which I am unable to see. Let me be in my palace of freedom, let me reign as the king of my self-appointed kingdom. You can't stop me, I'm invincible. Your attacks phase through me, I'm invisible, untouchable. Another attack from you, just miss. These are some of the reasons I sit down and reminisce. I'm in my element, I'm heaven sent, I'm hella bent to take revenge on those who claim to take away my throne and then claim my crown in my very own kingdom. Kick me out and throw away my throne, my peace, and then some. The open world is unfair and unkind. A place of such tranquility is one you'll never find. Not unless you understand and join me as my queen, my steed, my knight in shining armor. I don't care, just don't leave. Would you rather face the hardships of the real world? Must you torment me with reality? I thought you were special. I'm in a position where I sit inside this world of fiction carnage. There's hell to pay. I can't hear them say. Lay waste to your enemies. Let this kingdom be your remedy. Lay waste to your enemies. Let this kingdom be your remedy. Be your remedy.
There comes a time everyone comes into question of what life means. I've had the meaning stripped away from my very flesh, from within my genes. When guilty as such, it doesn't mean much when you're defying your own existence. This might just be a hunch without a single touch to validify your own personal mission. You strip away the ugliness within your inhibitions. It doesn't mean much with just a single touch when you define your own existence. It takes tolls and controls out of your state of slumber. Such discourse with such foes makes you wish you were in summer. This might be just a hunch without a single touch to validify your own personal mission. When guilty as such, it doesn't mean much when you define your own existence. Own existence.
Stare into the abyss where my freedom once reigned. A reality was torn and crumbled. It wasn't able to maintain the sheer destruction of our empty, blackened hearts. Slowly but surely the Heir of Grief is the one who tore everything apart. I walk on the proverbial road disguised as one I recognize. The clouds, the fog, the mist, the gist. I stare deep into death's eyes. Its cold gaze harsh as the wind blowing beneath my wings. I felt like I was gazing across a corridor which didn't contain anything. I dreamt of mass, I dreamt of substance, but I never seen this anomaly. I felt the road collapse and flipped around. I only answered this honestly. I felt my fingertips start to fade. I feel like I've been replaced. Reality collapsed at the very seams as it all reset and it was all erased. I walk on a proverbial road disguised as one I recognize. The clouds, the fog, the mist, the gist. I stare deep into death's eyes. I felt my fingertips start to fade. Felt like I've been replaced. Reality collapsed at the very seams as it all reset and it was all erased. Stare into the abyss where my freedom once reigned. A reality was torn and crumbled. It wasn't able to maintain the sheer destruction of our empty, blackened hearts. Slowly but surely the Heir of Grief is the one who tore everything apart. Stare into the abyss where my freedom once reigned. A reality was torn and crumbled. It wasn't able to maintain the sheer destruction of our empty, blackened hearts. Slowly but surely the Heir of Grief is the one who tore everything apart.
To my brother.